Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Frank Film Club. Merry Christmas to those of you who are listening on Christmas Day. And thank you for joining us. Christmas can sometimes be a time that is really lovely to spend with family, but also if you don't have a family, then we want to welcome you in to spend Christmas with us. Because today we're going to be talking about the iconic Love Actually, which came out in 2003. Written and directed by the wonderful Richard Curtis. But before we get into all of that, guys, what have you been up to?
Been preparing for Christmas, of course.
Late,
as per usual. I'm not normally a Christmassy person. Well, I historically have not been. And more, my frozen heart is getting thawed. And I'm starting to really enjoy Christmas. So I've been getting into the Christmas spirit and having some mulled wine, just like the coziness. I don't like Christmas Day, but I like the run up to Christmas and that feeling of coziness.
Well, I will be going up to North Wales to see my family for Christmas. So I feel like until I'm up in North Wales with all the family, it's a bit weird being away, and but love the Christmassy vibe, just like being cozy and Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, me too. Been getting ready for Christmas. I love wrapping, but obviously to start your Christmas wrapping, you have to have finished all of your Christmas shopping. And I'm not so good at finishing that part before I start getting all my fancy ribbons and stuff. So.
You cannot wrap it air. That is not what you can do.
You're not allowed to do that. But so thrilled to hear that. Glad that you guys are getting into the Christmas spirit. And of course, there's no better way to get into the Christmas spirit than watching, by the way, the UK's favourite Christmas movie, Love Actually. I don't know what that was based on, but I found an article. It's based on some sort of poll that they did. So well done, Richard Curtis. Still got it. As I said, this film came out in 2003, and it's been adored and also kind of despised by all over the years, and has gone through its own little, journey. And I really wanted to chat with you guys about it today. Before we go, starring... This list is mega long, so get ready. Bill Nighy, Colin Firth, Liam Neeson, Emma Thompson, Chris Marshall, Martin Freeman, Joanna Page, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Andrew Lincoln, Martine McCutcheon, Keira Knightley, Hugh Grant, Laura Linney, Thomas Brodie Sangster, Rowan Atkinson, and of course Alan Rickman. Like, I wanted to try and take some people off of that list, but I just couldn't.
You can't take anyone off the list.
I mean, it is an ensemble piece.
It is.
And they chose all the biggest actors of the UK.
So first of all, I mean, we've all got great memories of watching this film. Hannah, tell me about some of them.
Well, I was 14 when the film came out, and I think I was probably trying to discover what love was around that time, and this gives a lot of different versions of that. None of them particularly desirable, maybe, in some ways. But it's always been a staple, like every Christmas, ITV2, absolutely. But then, in the last, 10 years, I haven't watched it at all, and I feel like there's been a lot of bad-mouthing with a few things in there, so I haven't really touched it. And then I fully came back to this film. I watched it over the weekend thinking, I'm going to be pulling this apart when I'm watching it. Absolutely not. I loved it. I was like, that's terrible. That's problematic. But, it's such a good film.
What did you think, Lowri?
I've watched this film, every Christmas, and I love it so much. And I do think that there's some really problematic things in it. But I'm sorry, but it's so nostalgic, but that I still love it.
Yeah.
But I know where the problems are, but it's just great. What about you?
I feel like I'm going to echo you both. This was always my mum's favourite film. And so then I sat down and I watched it and was like, Mum, why are you showing me this? Because obviously there was a simulated sex scenes. I was like, whoa. But just thought it was so heartwarming, and also kind of respected that my mum was like, you're old enough to watch this now. I was like, okay, Mum, cool. And then I feel like it's a little bit of a founding story for the ethos behind why we do Frank Film Club, because when I was acting, I was about 16 years old, and I was with an actor and a director, and we were sort of doing a meeting about a film that we were doing, and they were talking about hate actually. And they were like going into Richard Curtis and like this movie and like how awful and like just how much they didn't like it. And I obviously was just like sat there in silence, but I was like, how can I love a film so much that's like these people really, really despise, and they're in the same industry as me, and like they're like have feelings just like I do. I was like, what have I missed about this movie? So yeah, I'm glad that you guys both feel the same way, because I was worried that we were just going to pull it apart, but I don't think it needs to.
No, and the same thing, you know, with Don't Worry Darling, when we spoke about that the other day, I don't think you need to repeat the same conversations that people seem to be having, especially when things become like negative. I think people might think that it's cool to like pick something like this apart. This type of film is just of the time. Like, this is the way people used to speak to each other. In the context of like what it's like today, there's a lot that's wrong with it. But actually at the time, it was all
2003. It was like a different era.
But you could say that about anything, and there are things that are bad about it, but you cannot take away from the fact that this is classic.
Yeah, I was still cried at the end.
Oh, I cried the whole way through. I knew what was coming.
What I wanted to do today, kick us off, like, let's go through all of the relationships, and then I thought it would be fun to sort of rank them in, like, ones that we most need in our life to, like, ones avoid at all costs.
Yeah.
But let's start with Daniel and Sam. That whole moment, what does it mean? Where's the love?
So this is already like a bit of an interesting relationship as is, because he's not his biological father.
Yeah.
But I feel like they do have a big journey. Like, their common love is obviously the mum.
Mm.
And then it is really tough, but then and then it turns out that Sam was actually, he's kind of never really grieving his mum. That's the point. He never really does seem to grieve his mum, because he's just grieving this love that he has, or not even grieving it because it hasn't happened yet, you know?
That's actually really true. It's kind of only like Liam Neeson has lost someone.
Yeah.
It's kind of not like...
It's like, Dad, I moved on.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I've got a new gal in my life now.
Got a new Joanna.
Yeah, and then he's also like shipping Liam Neeson and
Claudia Schiffer.
Yeah, it's true. He doesn't really
It's
acknowledge
kind of
that, which maybe he doesn't acknowledge it because this is his way of dealing with it.
True.
Well, he'll talk about it in therapy when he's older, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How
he never acknowledged the fact
He
that-
literally never spoke of her again. She is gone now. I will move on. Oh.
But like, similarly to that, Emma Thompson's character and Liam Neeson, their friendship, she's just like, oh, get over it.
Not that I'm not horribly devastated that your wife just passed. I've always loved that line.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting look at grief, I think.
Yeah, so I feel like sometimes when I've watched it, I've been like, oh God, like, can you say that? Like, he's allowed to grieve. But I do also love their relationship as well, that they're just kind of like...
I think the people that you're closest to like that are able to say something like that to you. Nobody else could. If you weren't close enough to somebody and somebody said that to you, you'd be like, what the hell? But there's something in like a very close relationship and being able to like be jokey in situations like that you need. Well, I do anyway. My personality, I need to be lifted out of like sadness and despair with jokes.
And that's something that I think Richard Curtis does very well. He kind of just like observes relationships in like an interesting way. Like the fictional way to like help your friend through grief is to be like overly sensitive. But they don't really do that. And so, yeah, probably the most heartbreaking story, Harry and Karen, and then the like side dish of Mia that Harry works with. Upon watching this again, I sort of rediscovered at the end when Emma Thompson says, like, do you wait around to see if it's a necklace or if it's sex in a necklace or if it's even worse, love? And I guess when I was a kid, I just was like, cheating is cheating, it's the end. And then this time I kind of like really could, well, not like empathize, but I really saw it from Harry's side a little more, where I was like, he really has just been a fool and done something really stupid. Whereas like when I was a kid, I just was like, you're a monster, you've ruined everything. But I guess I understood the nuance of that final scene a little more, like after watching it this time. What did you think?
Yeah, definitely. It's almost like I don't want don't want to acknowledge that I understand that, because I don't want to permit that to happen to myself or any of my friends.
No, yeah, of course.
But there is so much nuance in things that happen, and he's an idiot. But again, it's just like, being an adult is really complicated, and things can happen over the span of a 50, 40-year relationship. That doesn't mean he's not a knob.
Yeah.
And it's awful, and that's so heartbreaking.
Yeah, and I think in this film she is just like the strongest character, which I feel, I'm like, oh, I love Emma Thompson because I just always think of her as like, this is her. But their relationship, it felt very real, like horrible, but it just really understood her dilemma and her, like you say, when she's like, do I continue? Because you probably would, because it's horrible. Like, you know that he knows that he's been an absolute idiot, and he has. And you know that she kind of knows, well, she doesn't. It's just horrible.
Yeah. I feel like I was really analysing him a lot more, and like, he is really stupid. I guess he really likes the attention.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like, he also like doesn't really seem like he likes her at all. Do you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't really give her anything until he gives her the stupid necklace. Like,
Even when he calls and he's like, well, what do you want then? It's
Yeah.
not like there doesn't seem to be too much interest. Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't pursue her.
not at all.
It's like a bit of fun at work.
There was this really great article that I read, which was a couples therapist analysing all of the relationships in this.
Love.
And she said, like, if she thinks that Harry and Karen are really like made for each other, and like they should be together, and if they can get through this, then like it would be amazing if they had like therapy. But like that Harry and Mia, it's like just lust, and it's like not.
Yeah.
It's like they don't have anything in common. It's just like, and so that gave me a bit of hope. I was like, maybe if they went to couples therapy, they'd be okay.
Yeah. Well,
It
they
is
seem like
sad.
that towards the end. You know, when
Yeah,
at the
well-
airport.
Do you think that I thought that they weren't together anymore, and they weren't going to be?
And I thought they were together, but I thought she was just like putting up with it and getting it. But that's so sad that it's her that has to get over it and put up with that for the rest of her life if they stay together. Well, anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible.
And also, where's he been on holiday? Surely she should have been on a holiday.
Yeah.
Where's he been?
Exactly. She should be the one going on holiday, and he should have been left with the kids.
Exactly.
Ex-
That's very
Exactly.
true.
Then we have this relationship between David and Natalie. When I was growing up, it was my favourite relationship ever. And now
worrying.
I know. And now I'm like, oh, that is not a good example of a relationship. Richard Curtis actually wrote this role for Martine McCutcheon, and then when she came in to read for it, the character was literally called Martine, and they didn't want her to know that like they wanted her so desperately, so they changed it to Natalie, and then obviously like the name stuck, but Martine ended up doing it.
I just think it's wild how much she's referenced as chubby.
Yeah.
Insane.
First of all, she's not. Second of all, because that was first of all. Second of all, why would you? Even the last scene, he's like, God, you weigh a lot.
Yeah.
I'd be so
I didn't remember that line. Oh my God.
Awful.
I don't think I've ever noticed that.
Why did
Which
they
is-
do that?
Weight was spoken about so much when I was growing up, all the time. Every time you would see any member of family, they'd comment first of all on your weight. Was it like that? Did you feel like that?
Yeah. Or like even their own weight and like
Yeah,
what's
always.
wrong about it or what's right about it.
Yeah.
It was everywhere. And also every talk show, the first question that like any sort of celebrity or like actor would be asked is like, what's your diet right now? And then they talk in depth about like what they do. It was just so part of the culture. It was like so the norm to comment on that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Diets all the time are different. Trying out a new one.
Awful.
Yeah.
And Natalie as a character was like a huge victim of that for no reason. Richard Curtis, that one was a big mistake.
Even if she was, it's like that's not even.
No.
Why is that even? That's not a problem. But their relationship anyway was like, yeah, okay to have a relationship in the workplace can like questionable, but like as long as it's like okay. But the fact that he like demotes her.
I know.
It's really not okay.
It's really got Me Too written all over it. Like, she gets, like, harassed or whatever happens in that room with Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah.
And then he's like, do you know what? You need to go. It's your fault.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not why he gets rid of her. Like, we know that. But, you know.
Yeah. And then he comes knocking on the door like, hello. And she's like, hi. Wouldn't you be like, oh, you?
I love how this was your favourite story.
It was. When I was growing up, I was fully like, thought, this is amazing. It was. What do you think the couples therapist thought about this whole thing?
Is it like a bit of fun for him? Is it like seem like unhealthy from his part?
Maybe it's like he has these fleeting romances with people and he loses interest really quickly. And she thinks that this is the one and he's like, no.
Well, she actually thought there's a huge power imbalance, which is really problematic and would be really, really difficult to get through. And obviously, like, really questionable, problematic decisions made around that, demoting her, yada, yada, yada. But she said that they did seem to have, like, a real interest in one another, more so than just, like, a surface level thing. Like, I think that she thought that they really, like, had an interest and a good view of them as, like, people rather than just, like, assistant Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that because she comes in and she makes a big entrance, and like that's the moment when she's like really vulnerably herself that he's like, oh my god, I'm gonna fall in love with this girl.
Yeah.
And I think maybe there's a part of that is what I loved. Colin Firth, Jamie, then his new love Aurelia. Thoughts on this relationship?
Kind of feels like another bit of a weird power dynamic again. Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's like always someone. It's always like the guy, and it's like their assistant who they fall in love with, or like their housekeeper, or like, and it's always this like.
That's just
It's
Wait, so
like-
there's 3 relationships where it's an assistant.
I don't know what the other one
So
would be.
like Alan Rickman with
yes,
assistant.
secretary or whatever.
Secretary.
Yeah, David and Natalie. Yeah, and then Jamie and Aurelia. Like, is she like a housekeeper or something like
I think
that?
she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like that is
That's
so
mad. How many
It's-
love stories are there? 9?
There's 9, and a third of them.
Wow.
It's so, and we haven't even got. Okay, it's problematic. It's problematic.
Yeah, that is problematic. Oh, see, all of it all tinges. I think it's lovely.
I know this is
I
what
really
I'm
love
singing.
their love
We literally
story.
started this chat saying we're not going to tear it apart.
So not cute at all. And also, they had like a ridiculous number of producer meetings discussing what lingerie she was going to be wearing underneath her outfit. Can you believe that?
So it wasn't just like a normal costume meeting. It was like, we really need to get together.
So Richard Curtis spoke about this on like the DVD extras, and I don't think it was like, let's try and get this girl to take pictures in like as many sets of underwear as we can. But it was more just like, what do we want to say about this woman and the sort of underwear she wears, and like, how do we want the audience to feel about her? And like, is it matching set? Is it not? Is it flirty and like sexy? Is it a thong? Is it like, which like respect, but it also like makes me kind of mad.
Yeah. Like I get that it needed to be a conversation, like,
But did it need to take that long?
but I don't think it needed to
I'd
be
love it if that
really,
amount
really-
of detail was put into what colour boxers the guy who Laura Linney gets with is wearing. Probably
It's
not.
true. I think the whole thing is like, in a way, quite camp. And like, it knows how ridiculous it is. And you think about Colin, and like, they are all like sort of caricatures of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't age like that well, but I do think it's aware of how problematic it is in a
Yeah.
way. But it still doesn't like stop being that way. But yeah, I loved this love story
Yeah,
and the end.
Like, I think that they fancied each other, but I don't believe that he would go and propose. They haven't actually had a conversation yet.
That's like a Richard Curtis thing, isn't it? Like, you've got to make
Chase
it.
through the airport.
Mm-hmm.
I want to
yeah.
be chased through the airport.
I don't. That sounds quite
Stressful.
scary. Yeah.
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 Yeah, I love the sort of like information getting miscommunicated as Colin Firth is walking with like Aurelia's entire family, being like, we're going to see Aurelia. Apparently he wants to kill her.
There's some fat shaming in there as well, mind.
Oh, there is.
With their sister.
There is.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of that.
But I do kind of rate the sister being like,
She's
just
amazing.
say yes, and then you can go and meet Prince William and marry him.
Oh, yeah.
instead.
Yeah, they're a really sassy family.
They are a real sassy family.
I love
Yeah,
it.
that one, I think there's really beautiful moments. It's very, like, cinematic. I think, like, the falling in love, being, like, with a cup of hot cocoa, all wet hair, you know, kind of thing.
Papers
But, like, is
flying.
it real love? Yeah, is it real love that's going to last forever? Don't know.
Yeah. I want to believe. They feel like the most pure. So I want to believe that they would make it.
Okay, well, let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Oh, yeah.
Peter and Juliet, and then Mark, who comes into the love triangle.
So this is Keira, Chiwetel, and Andrew Lincoln.
Andrew Lincoln.
Yeah. I couldn't remember that they kissed, that she runs after him and kisses him. I couldn't remember that before. And if my best mate came to my door, could you imagine? Hi, I really wanted to let you know that I actually love you. So don't tell Han. What the? Don't get it. I just got something to say. Nah, no.
I just didn't like how Juliet as a character was just like so game for it and so okay with it and so not offended, and like it was just like normalized as like this is an okay thing for someone to do, and it's like she wasn't really given any boundaries, because like she was just like, oh, I see, like you're completely infatuated with me and you're the best friend of my husband and like he has no idea, and you've literally just like recorded this really creepy footage of me, but I get it, like you're troubled and you're in love, and like you just would not be like that. You would be like, you need to get a grip, this is like stalker behavior and like it's not okay, and I'm telling Peter.
And then the fact that she then goes out and kisses him.
I know.
What do you think happens after that point? Because you see them again in the airport, and they are together and like with Chiwetel's character, but you're not given anything away. Do you think it's like a pity kiss, or do you think that something she actually likes him back?
I think it's supposed to be a pity kiss, and then I think he's going like, enough now, like I'm gonna get over this. But I think like in reality that would never happen. Like if there was someone who was like that, I don't think they would just go, okay, I'm gonna get over it now.
If you were that obsessed, no.
Also, there's not many characters in this film that aren't white. And this is like the one relationship where they've just got married and they're not both white.
Yeah.
And then he just gets like completely sidetracked.
And
Mark.
it becomes about this other guy.
Yeah, it becomes about this other guy that just swoops in. And it's like,
why?
I think that is like the most problematic relationship of the film, would you say?
Yeah, I would say so.
100%.
Yeah.
I would love something like this to be made now, and for it to be about different love relationships and how different that would look now if somebody made something like that that was about Britain. Because like we're saying, like this is the most classic British Christmas film, but like it doesn't look like Britain to me.
Okay, so
Especially not London.
fun fact. There was, in the script, there was actually 4 more relationships, couples. 2 of them were cut before they started filming.
Okay.
One of which centered around a girl in a wheelchair. There was another 2 and they were filmed, but they didn't make it into the edit for some unknown reason. One of them was about an African couple who were helping one another through a famine. And another one, which was a head teacher who we follow home from work, who is in a lesbian relationship. I don't know why these didn't make it. I feel like this whole film, I know what it's trying to do, and it's trying to show that like love is love, and like Christmas is about like loving and being with one another, and it's like complicated, but like it's beautiful. I think that like the problem with it being someone like Richard Curtis like telling all of these stories, it's like a misinformed like understanding of like what these relationships are like, without really researching or speaking to anyone who is like actually in those situations, and then being like, and it's like done from such a good place, but it's just like a bit off, because and I think like we've learned a lot now, whatever, but I feel like it's probably best that he didn't tell a lot of those stories that were sort of written into this, and maybe he did kind of stick more to like what he knew. But yeah, I mean, so it's interesting that you said that, because I think you're right. I think that like this isn't what love is. It's like it's a very one-dimensional like view of what love means to many different people. But like I don't think that Richard Curtis is the right person to like make it a more three-dimensional thing, because not unless he were to like really research and have like authentic stories and like, you know, have those people involved in the creation.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe it is just, you know, luckily we've got filmmakers now who can tell stories like that. So if it was remade now, there would be a filmmaker who does know about different relationships, or maybe would do the research. Maybe there are more, I don't know, there's just people pay more attention to like what they're trying to show and like the importance of that.
Yeah.
So it is a good thing that maybe that wasn't in there. But yeah, I really noticed that with Chiwetel's character. He's so secondary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a shame.
So moving on to Judy and John, I love this relationship like, so much. I think they're so sweet to each other, and I always have found it so entertaining that they were just like, I think like they're the most respectful of one another, even though they're in this like really like, maybe it's because they're in such a vulnerable position from the outset. But yeah, thoughts on, I mean, Judy and John, you didn't really get to know their storyline when you first watched it, but since, what do you think?
No, well, exactly what you just said. Like, they're very much on the same level. They're so respectful of each other despite meeting each other like naked every time they meet. They just like, they're also like quite timid and like really shy, and both obviously really, really like each other, but just don't really know how to articulate it. And they're like the sweetest story that they're probably one of the best stories, like the least problematic stories in there, because they're just good people.
Yeah.
These situations are written really well, aren't they? I'm just thinking about like you saying that might be your favorite. It's really hard to pick a favorite.
Yeah.
She delivers the best line of the whole thing.
Which is this?
All I want for Christmas is you.
Oh no, that's probably like the cringiest line of the whole film.
Actually, most of those scenes get cut out of the ITV rerun of the film. Which is so funny because, like, I know, like, physically, like, nudity-wise, like, it's very adult. But the fact that me growing up thought that, like, the relationship between David and Natalie is, like, something worth looking up to. Right! Like, that's worse. So it's just, like, so funny how we have, like, censorship and, like, the things that we think are, like, inappropriate to have on TV versus, the things that are completely fine. So Tony is the kind of like first AD on set with Judy and John. And Tony is good friends with Colin, and they have like a bromance friendship. I don't want to bring the tone down, but what do we think of Colin? Do you guys like Colin?
Growing up, he was the favourite character.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, was always
just entertaining.
Entertainment. It was just like hilarious. Just thought he was so funny. and And now I'm just like, what?
I think it's just the actor, though. I think he's just got really funny mannerisms. I gotta say, this is probably my least favourite storyline because I think the way they show the American girls is gross. And I
Yeah,
remember when I watch it, like even when I was young, I'd be like, that's gross. Like, they're not like that and you shouldn't do that. It's really icky.
When I watched it as like a really young girl, I remember being like, is that what the perfect woman is? Like, that how I'm supposed to be, that's how I'm supposed to look, and that's how I'm supposed to act. Like, I remember like really thinking like that, being like, oh God.
And girls don't do that. That's
No.
not a thing.
No,
that
not at
happens.
all.
Oh, we just all stay in the same bed together naked.
Yeah, what the fuck is that? Yeah. Honestly,
Please, babe.
I have to be honest, like, I just skipped through his whole storyline. I'm just
Yeah.
like, the only bit I watched, and I watched with my eyes absolutely peeled open, was the bit where he's like, what do you do? Hi, I'm Nancy. Oh, what do you do, Nancy?
I
I'm
love
a wedding
it.
caterer. Oh, I wish I'd asked you to do this one. They did. I love that bit because I'm just like, Colin. Also at the wedding is Sarah. Sarah works for Alan Rickman, and she has got an office crush on Carl. I remember when I was a kid being like deeply moved by this story, and still as an adult feeling the exact same, just watching this woman who really doesn't have any idea how to sort of open up. And I thought that it's like in contrast, like a very different story to the other ones, and like probably my favourite female character in this.
I feel like when I watched this when I was younger, I used to always, I actually didn't really enjoy this part. I don't really know why exactly. I think I just got, I would get so annoyed that
She wouldn't say
yeah,
hi.
yeah. And I used to really hate it. But as I've got older, I like appreciate this story and her character way, way more. But I remember really like being like, oh, it's back to her again.
Yeah,
Which
Miss
is
Blake, come on, get a backbone.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I hear ya.
Yeah, I think I was the same.
Just like, who is this?
Yeah, because it's there's nothing sparkly about this. This is like, it is deeply sad.
Yeah.
And not like in a, like, ooh, gosh, like way.
Yeah.
It's just sad.
Mm-hmm.
But I love Laura Linney so much. I know. In everything she does. So I knew that I liked the actor, but I just didn't like the situation when I was younger. But now, yeah, it's I think it's really well done, actually. Yeah.
What do you think the couples therapist analysed about Sarah and Carl?
Oh, was the love real? Was the
Well,
spark
just like,
real?
is this relationship going to work with or without therapy, or like, is it right for these people?
I wish they hadn't cast somebody who looked like a model and felt quite mysterious in a way.
Yeah.
Because it would have been nice for her to feel like the audience feel like they have got a real bond and relationship there, for her to be able to connect with somebody else and it not be surface. But I think there's a barrier for me when I'm watching it that I'm like, gosh, he's really, like, he looks like a Greek model, and I don't know if that's a vibe for her.
Maybe I do still have problems with that bit because they don't have a conversation ever really that we see. It is just like they know that they fancy each other, and then they go back to her place.
Yeah.
And she's like fancied him for ages, but she's never actually spoken to him. And I'm like, at least give them a chance to speak.
Maybe we just needed one more scene where we saw them having a chat and understood that a bit more.
Yeah. The therapist basically said, like, with Laura just like Sarah, incapable of being able to like actually open up about like what she's dealing with, like, it's just not going to work because like he will never be able to help her, and she will never be able to like be helped, and she'll always just think like, I'm too scared I don't deserve anything, you know.
No.
Yeah, it's kind of sad because like I really feel like she deserves love, but I don't know if very sad.
That
Not
is
sure.
sad.
Yeah.
Son's love in that storyline, which brings me to the final relationship, which is kind of separate from all of the other relationships.
Yeah.
Billy Mack and manager Joe. Oh my goodness.
I know I said I was, last time I watched this, which was 2 days ago, I was crying at literally just the sight of Thomas Brodie Sangster's face. But I was also crying at the sight of Joe, the manager's face. Because he reminds me so much of my dad. And like when I see men that look like that cry, I'm like, oh, no. I love this storyline.
Yeah.
Also love the way that I love you, actually.
See, I always thought that, like, because I remember when I was growing up watching him with Ant and Dec, and I had also grown up watching, like, X Factor and I'm a Celebrity and everything. And because there was this man who was, like, not being rude to Ant and Dec, but like swearing on TV and like being a menace. When I was growing up, I was like, that man is really naughty. He is not a good person. And then now, like as a grown up watching this, I'm like, he's like such a sweet character, and he's like actually like kind of love him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely love him. And the fact that he's just like, he knows that what he's making is absolute like crap. And like, and he just like knows what the game is, and like he's done it, and like, he's just like, bleh.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And just has like real love for his manager.
Yeah.
Doesn't really know why he's doing it anymore, but
He's great.
Yeah.
He's brilliantly self-aware. And like, I think it's funny to look at what you're doing and be like, it's just my job. Like this isn't like saving anyone's life. I mean, it's probably further than that. He like thinks it's shit. But I just think that's like funny and nice.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
so I thought it would be fun to rank these relationships
Okay.
from 9th place to 1st place.
Purest to
Most toxic.
toxic. Yeah.
Okay, 9th place.
Keira Knightley.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay, I'm into that.
Well, it depends who we're talking. We're talking about her husband or
The situation, the storyline.
Situation.
yeah,
Yes.
okay, Julia and Mark, 9th place.
Yeah.
I firmly agree with that. Next up from there, I mean, we can't forget about Colin. I cannot stand Colin.
Oh, you could put Colin straight down there because there's not really anything pure going on there.
Yeah, but he's not hurting anyone. Because everybody's like
Having a
game.
good
Nobody's
time.
The
getting
way that,
hurt.
yeah, if we
okay.
actually think about like the way that the characters were written, like those girls are really happy, even though they're
That's
like
true.
not based on real people.
No.
But,
It's
like,
more that is the
yeah,
problem.
in this
Okay.
fictional world,
Yeah.
it wasn't so bad.
Okay.
Okay, well, I mean, but he's
Would
not
it be
going any
like-
higher
he's
than
not
7th.
going
let me tell
high,
you.
though, no.
Hugh Grant. Well, Hugh Grant.
David and Natalie, or Hugh Grant and Martine McCutcheon.
Their love was pure, but they're very problematic.
Yeah, I mean, like, that is really toxic. That's so toxic. Like, that power imbalance is not it.
Yeah, I think Colin or David and Martine McCutcheon's character are 7 or 8. Whichever way around
Yeah.
you want to do it, like, they're all in the bin.
Okay, there is a bit of love going on with the other two, so let's put Colin and then.
Okay,
Yeah.
Colin. So that means that 7th place is David and Natalie. Firmly agree on that one.
I want to put in Colin Firth.
No, but what about Cheaty McGee?
Yeah, but I think that they're strong.
Harry and Karen, I still want to believe that they are in love with each other and they're
Yeah,
going to
me
make it
too.
work.
Yeah.
And it was a really stupid thing for him to do. Do we think he should still be in the middle spot though?
Yeah, there's some toxicity gone on there, so
Yeah,
maybe in the
yeah.
middle.
He's got some growing to do.
6th place, Harry and Karen. 5th place, which is like bang in the middle.
Jamie and Aurelia, I think. I'm just really not too massively convinced. You like you?
I love them.
Oh, I don't know.
Buongiorno. I really like them.
So you'd prefer them to be still in the middle or in the top 3?
Like, top middle.
Top middle, so maybe 4th place we're saying.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
But who would go next then? Would that be Sarah and Carl?
Yeah. Because there's no love there.
I think 5.
5th place for Sarah and Carl.
Oh, next.
Yeah. 5th place for Sarah. Okay, fair enough. Does that mean that 4th place is going to be
I will
Jamie and
take that.
Aurelia?
Yeah.
Fair enough. I like that.
So then our last 3 to play with: Billy, Mac, and Joe.
Yeah.
Sam and Daniel.
Yeah.
And
Judy and John.
no.
This is hard. I love them all.
First for me is probably either the father and stepson or the manager and the star, and I would put the stand-ins as number 3.
I do think they've got the purest love, but if we're going also like on like entertainment value, then yeah, I agree.
Billy Mac and Joe, I feel like they're great for each other, but I do feel like Billy Mac is like nasty to Joe quite a lot and always says that his manager's like overweight and stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
And I mean, Joe's okay with it, but like you do see him sad sometimes. Okay, Billy Mac and Joe in 3rd place. Nice. So second.
Yeah, maybe we do let Sam and Daniel win.
Yeah, I think they should win.
Yeah,
The
I
others
tend
feel
to
like they're
agree
not
with
in
you.
it enough to warrant being first
Yeah.
place, but they are wonderful.
Yeah, I like this. Judy and John 2nd place, which means 1st place is the wonderful Daniel and Sam. I love that. You know what? I didn't think that was going to be our outcome. I thought that we were going to put Billy Mac and Joe at the top, but after speaking with you guys about it, I've really underestimated Daniel and Sam. Love that. Well, the official list that no one asked for, but everyone needs, our relationship ranks. You can find it on Instagram, but I'll read it out for you now. Daniel and Sam in 1st place, Judy and John in 2nd place, 3rd place, Billy Mac and Joe, 4th place, Aurelia and Jamie, 5th place, Sarah and Carl, 6th place, Harry and Karen, 7th, David and Natalie, 8th, Colin and Co. And in final place, Juliet and Mark. Yeah, screw them. To finish off, I wanted to give you guys some fun facts that I found out. Some fun Christmas facts. Can you believe in this, Emma Thompson wore a big suit?
Like padding?
Yeah.
But why?
I know. What is that all about?
What, to make her mumsy?
Yeah.
Oh, to make her dowdy.
Yeah.
No way.
Wow.
Ridiculous, right?
What? That's not even. You can't
Just-
even. I don't.
Silly decision there.
Okay.
Unnecessary, but whatever. Obviously, the final moments, all of those shots, they were in fact real shots in Heathrow Airport, and they sat and they filmed there for weeks and weeks on end. And every time they caught a beautiful moment, the team would like run up and ask them to sign like a NDA, not NDA, like a release form. So it's all real shots of families in Heathrow Airport. How lovely!
That is really lovely. It's such a lovely ending to the film, actually.
Yeah.
Did they pay them? Sorry to be cynical.
Probably not.
But
They're just like, can you sign this for free? So this is my favourite part. Can you guess how old Keira Knightley was when she shot this?
17 or something.
Bingo, 17. Can you guess how old Thomas Brodie Sangster was?
I feel. Is it quite close? Well, he looks like. Actually, I'm bad with ages, but he looks like what, 8?
he looks about 8 or 9.
Yeah.
But he's 14, isn't it? Or 13.
Yeah, he was 13 when they filmed this, so they were 4 years apart. They were 4 years apart, and she is married to Chiwetel Ejiofor, and he is an 8-year-old boy.
Wait, and how old was he? 14, 13?
He was 13. Obviously, he was playing younger, but like, can you imagine being like, they were literally 4 years apart. Like, they still are. They're still 4 years apart.
That's mad.
Absolutely insane. I cannot believe that.
That is
Honestly.
really mad.
He was 13 and she was 17. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys enjoyed
was fun.
dissecting
Yeah, it was
the
good.
relationships. I think, it'd be nice to hear your final thoughts and what you think about the movie as a whole, having gone into all of that.
Well, I feel like my opinions kind of stay the same, which maybe is like not a very good thing. But I still love it. Like, I know it has a lot of problems, which are actually quite laughable now. I think part of what I love, like when I do watch it now, I don't just be like, oh, it's fine. Like, I know that they're problems and I'll watch it and I'll laugh about them.
Yeah. I'm really glad that this conversation has gone this way, because I was like, what else do I not like about it? I really need to remember, because then I can... But I just really like it.
Yeah.
And like, there definitely is problems, but the writing's so good.
Yeah.
For us to like be so invested, the film's only an hour and a half long. And for us to be so, I think an hour and 40, for us to be so invested in 9 different stories and like their relationships, I think that's great writing.
Yeah, they really pulled off something special with this. And like, I think many tried to recreate it after. Like, I'm just thinking like New Year's Eve, like Valentine's Day, trying to sort of like emulate what they did with this. And like, no one's really come close. I think it's really special. And even for all its flaws, I think it's like an incredibly entertaining thing to watch at Christmas. And it brings me a lot of joy.
Yeah.
Makes me really happy. And that's like always good.
What other Christmas films are you guys going to be watching?
Grinch.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, love the Grinch.
Elf
Yeah.
would be like
Elf,
my go-to.
classic.
And the
Yeah.
Grinch, actually. Those are like my 2. I only watched Home Alone for the first time 2 years ago.
No.
Yeah.
That's a classic.
Yeah.
What about you?
Elf, usually. But also, I still haven't seen Boxing Day, which I think is meant to be quite good.
Oh, yeah.
And then I saw the other day that there's a Lindsay Lohan Christmas film. And I haven't seen Lindsay Lohan in a new film for ages.
I've seen
What,
it.
coming
Press
out
for
this
this.
year?
Yeah.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, I think it's out now.
Brilliant. Yeah, well, I'll be watching that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on this chilly Christmas day. We really hope that you've enjoyed the episode, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of this Christmas period.
Merry Christmas!
Merry
Oh,
Christmas, everyone.
This has been lovely.
This podcast was presented by Wrapped.